Let's bring in senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky along with ABC's Kenneth Moton in Washington and ABC News contributor John Cohen, the former acting undersecretary for intelligence at the Department of Homeland Security, for more on all of this. Thank you all for being here. Kenneth, I know there's been a flurry of movement now behind the scenes in Congress as lawmakers try to do something on gun legislation. But there's been no progress in the past, even after several recent mass shootings. So what are the chances that this tragedy moves the needle?
Unfortunately, not much, Diane. When it comes to this latest mass shooting, Democrats know they've got the support of the American public, but as you heard from Rachel, the Republicans are just not budging on this. Major gun reform legislation has stalled on Capitol Hill for nearly 30 years now. And we know that Americans want action. President Biden is pleading for congressional action here. Democratic Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy is leading bipartisan talks, but the thinking on both sides of the aisle is that nothing will come from this. Some Democrats want to change the filibuster rules in the Senate to pass gun reform legislation, but they need every Democrat. Bottom line, Diane, with the current state of the Senate, all the bills being floated are far from getting the 60 votes needed to move forward in the Senate.
Now, Aaron, multiple law enforcement officials are now saying that the gunman was actually not wearing body armor as was previously reported. What happened there, and what's the latest on the equipment that he did have and how he got it?
He did have a tactical vest on and some other tactical gear with him, but it did not have an armored plate, and it was not made of the kind of fabric that might protect him from bullets. So there was some initial confusion there. He was instead wearing a vest that's designed to hold ammunition, and we're told he wasn't even wearing it properly. He obtained the AR-15 style rifles that we're told he bought legally, and he did so one day after he turned 18 years old. He went to a nearby gun shop in his home. The second purchase of an AR-15 style rifle was made 3 days after the first one, and he also bought 375 rounds of ammunition. He did have high-capacity magazines, which are not, as was pointed out, regulated in Texas. There are 12 federally licensed firearms dealers in Uvalde, population 16,000. By comparison, Diane, here in New York City, there are 6.
Wow, 375 rounds. John, messages reviewed by ABC News show that the suspect texted a friend that he met on the social media platform Yubo just before that attack. So what do we know about potential warning signs that were missed, and how do they compare to what we've seen in some other recent shootings, like the one in Buffalo last week?
Yeah, we are learning quite a bit more about the shooter in Texas, and what we are finding is that he exhibited many of the same behavioral characteristics consistent with shooters before him, including the Buffalo shooter. This was an individual who was socially disconnected. He viewed his life as being one of failures, and he was searching for a sense of self-worth. He exhibited and was described by many as having underlying anger issues and being angry, and he spent a lot of time online, both posting content that would call into question whether he was traveling down the path of violence, and consuming other content which could help inform his attack. These are exactly the same characteristics we saw in Buffalo, we saw in Sutherland Springs, we saw in almost every other mass shooting that's occurred in the United States over the last several years. And it raises real questions from my perspective regarding why this individual was not subject to a threat assessment and threat management program by local officials. And that, again, raises questions of how somebody who is exhibiting these behaviors were able to go and purchase a firearm.
So, John, what responsibility do the people receiving these messages or the social media platforms themselves have to flag potentially threatening posts or messages to law enforcement?
Yeah, that's part of the challenge, is there is no consistent policy. And I would go further as to say is we haven't informed the public in a consistent and comprehensive manner of what they should be looking for and what they should do. So one question is, how do we better educate the public to report these warning signs? The other real vulnerability we have as a country is that we do not have a consistent capability in communities across the country for, once that information is received, to ask the right questions and look at the right information to determine if somebody is high risk. So that's another major issue here, is it's the public reporting and it's doing something with that information.
All right, Aaron Katersky, Kenneth Moton, John Cohen, thank you all.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.